Hi, in this video I want to talk about how to increase the clarity of your pronouns by replacing the pronouns you, which is called the second person, and one, which is just plain vague and confusing. Let's get right into it. The pronoun you is a direct address to the reader. And for that reason, when you say you, the reader says, me? Every time you say you, the reader has to ask him or herself, is he talking about me? But I don't feel that way, or I don't agree that way. And so you create a tension between you and the reader when you use the pronoun you. So what you want to think about is substituting you with a specific pronoun. Let's look at some examples. I think this will make more sense when you see that. So the best way to fix a you that you find in your paper is to either plug in a specific noun or to realize that you're actually meaning I. So let's look at some sentences. When you attend classes, you commit yourself to an intellectual challenge. Well, the reader is not directly in this paper until you say you. And then you feel like you're telling the reader what they're doing. You attend classes. But what you really mean is when students attend classes, they commit themselves to an intellectual challenge. Or maybe you mean when I attend classes, I commit myself to an intellectual challenge. So the question is, what's the best way to fix a you? When you said you, did you mean I? Or when you said you, did you mean some group of people, some abstract group of people like students? Let's see it again. Here's a sentence that uses you. At work, you need to do what your supervisor tells you to do if you hope to advance up the job ladder. Again, you may have a reader who that doesn't describe his life at all, and the you just confuses him. Why am I suddenly in your paper, which is a paper about why you work? So instead, you say at work, employees need to do what their supervisor tells them to do if they hope to advance. Or you go with the first person at work, I need to do what my supervisor tells me to do if I hope to advance up the job ladder. Let's shift to one. One is problematic because it's vague. When one considers the possibilities, one must admit that work at Starbucks is better than no work at all. The problem here is one what? One gerbil, an angry bird, one disgruntled post office employee. One just introduces a level of abstraction and confusion. So let's fix it. Let's replace one with a specific noun or a first person pronoun like I or we. That might look something like this. If job searchers consider the possibilities, they must admit that work at Starbucks is better than no work at all. Let's look at it again. One should be replaced by a specific noun. One must make the best of one's situation. Again, that's so vague. Why not say an employee must make the best of his or her situation? An employee must make the best of a difficult situation is another way to get rid of the one if you don't want to deal with the his or her dual pronoun. You could also say employees must learn to make the best of their situations, right? And there's the third variation. And this brings us to the singular plural problem. When you're using a singular pronoun, the antecedent must also be singular. So employee means you have to use his or her. But if you make it plural, now you got a better flow. Employees must make the best of their situations. So pronoun agreement often is resolved by shifting from singular to plural constructions, which make it easier to match a plural pronoun with a plural antecedent or noun. Now, sometimes I or we is what you mean when you say one. So let's look at an example. Here's a sentence that talks about one doing this and one doing that. If we switch it to if we take into account the myriad possibilities, we have to conclude we have a much less vague construct. Or plug in I. If I take into account the myriad possibilities, I must include that work shapes our psychological health. So the challenge here is for you to look for examples of you and one in your paper and replace them either with specific nouns or first person pronouns like I or we. I'll be looking to see that you're doing this by carefully proofreading your papers. I look forward to see what you have. Bye.